Welcome to this deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, you've brought us some really interesting excerpts. It's from Being Genuine, Stop Being Nice, Start Being Real by Thomas Densenberg.
That's right. It's a book that really makes you think about how we interact on the surface and, well, deeper down.
So our mission today is to really explore these core ideas. What does it actually mean to move from just, being nice all the time?
Which often feels like the default.
Right. To something the author calls being genuine, which sounds simple, but I get the feeling it's more complex.
It definitely is. So we'll unpack that difference, look at the kind of journey involved.
And hopefully get into some practical ways the book suggests for, expressing ourselves more authentically.
Yeah.
And connecting better with others.
Based on these sources, yeah. Get ready, because it might challenge some habits, maybe ones you didn't even realize you had.
Okay, let's dive in. What does the author actually mean by being genuine? What's the core idea?
Well, at its heart, it's this invitation. Express your truth. Say what's real for you. But, and this is crucial, while respecting others and respecting yourself in the process.
Okay, so it's not just blurting everything out. There's a balance.
Exactly. And it stands in pretty sharp contrast to what he calls being nice.
Which is?
Often, being nice means just leaving things as they are, not speaking up. Because we're afraid. Afraid of upsetting someone, maybe.
Or afraid of feeling uncomfortable ourselves if things get tense.
Precisely. The book calls it a kind of comfortable confusion. It feels safer, maybe, but it avoids this whole universe of choice and freedom that comes with being more real.
So being nice keeps things smooth on the surface, but maybe stuck underneath.
Yeah, it keeps us stuck. Being genuine, though, the book frames that as a challenging venture. It takes effort.
And the focus isn't on changing other people.
No, that's key. The real work, the author insists, is about changing ourselves, our internal landscape, how we approach things, not expecting the world or other people to bend to our will.
That feels like a fundamental shift in perspective. There's a story in the preface, isn't there, about a desert trip.
Oh, yeah, a really powerful one. The author was co-leading this expedition in the Sahara with troubled youth. And things got incredibly serious.
What happened?
One of the young men threatened an adult leader with a knife, deep in the desert. Terrifying situation.
Wow. I can't even imagine.
The person in charge, Jean-Marie Delacroix, his immediate reaction was, understandably, okay, we're done. Pack up, get out, safety first.
Makes total sense. Get away from the danger.
But Donsenberg, the author, he asked for a few hours, just a bit of time.
To do what? Talk.
Yes. They had these intense conversations, slightly away from the group, using the kind of communication techniques the book talks about. And amazingly, according to Delacroix, who wrote the preface, it worked. The tension diffused. More than that, it actually led to this unexpected sense of, unity within the group.
Really? After a threat like that?
Yeah. They finished the whole expedition without any more major incidents. It just underscored for Delacroix and for the author the real power of this approach, even in extreme situations.
That really brings it home. It's not just about everyday disagreements, then.
No. And it tells you something about the author, too. His background's interesting: former lawyer, banking consultant.
So quite a shift to this kind of work.
A massive shift, driven by wanting to be more, faithful to himself and help others do the same. Guy Corneau, in the preface, calls him a poet of communication, an explorer of inner and outer deserts.
Explorer of inner and outer deserts. I like that. It captures that sense of navigating difficult territory, both inside us and between us.
It really does. And one of the biggest bits of difficult territory the source points to is how disconnected we often are from our own inner world.
From our feelings and needs.
Exactly. The book makes the point that most of us, we don't have a very big vocabulary for what's going on inside.
We might just say, I feel good, bad, angry, sad, kind of basic stuff.
Pretty much. He mentions these communication trainings where they use lists of over 250 different feelings just to help people start identifying and naming their inner experience with more nuance.
250. Wow. And this disconnect, he starts early, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. We get told things like, big boys don't cry, or don't be angry, or just smile.
So we learn to push down the real feelings and put on a performance. The nice face.
That's exactly how we learn it. Instead of connecting with feelings from the heart, we're told to, think things over, use our heads.
And this leads to what the author calls the language of diminished responsibility.
Yes. Which means we end up blaming others for how we feel. I'm angry because you
didn't do the dishes,
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
Right. Or we blame vague external things. I'm depressed because the world is so messed up. We find scapegoats.
Instead of owning our own feelings.
Yeah, and we do the same thing with our actions. We justify them by saying, well, it's the rule, or I didn't have a choice, or that's just how it's always done. We externalize everything.
So if we want to move towards being genuine, the first step is reconnecting, developing that richer inner vocabulary for feelings and needs.
It's absolutely foundational. It's not about suppressing feelings. It's about understanding them so you can manage them appropriately, process them.
Not suffocate them.
Exactly. The book also flags a specific danger here, especially for people in helping roles.
The wearing oneself out doing good.
You see it a lot. People disregarding their own needs, just giving and giving until they burn out completely.
And then what happens?
Well, the source suggests this often leads to unconsciously making others pay for your sacrifice, maybe through resentment or subtle manipulation, or you just damage yourself.
There's a key distinction there, isn't there? Between taking care of someone and taking responsibility for them.
Crucial distinction. Sustainable help, the book argues, comes when you actually find deep pleasure or meaning in the act itself. When helping also connects to your own needs, maybe a need for discovery or sharing or contributing to well-being.
Okay, so it links back to this idea that our deepest joys come from nurturing relationships with ourselves, too.
Exactly. The source calls that capacity our truest wealth.
So what gets in the way? What are the big obstacles to making these genuine connections?
Well, a few key things. One is not seeing reality as it actually is, but through the lens of our fears or beliefs.
So we react to our assumptions, not the facts.
Right. Or we react based on prejudices, not our true feelings in the moment. Basically, not listening properly to ourselves.
And acting out of obligation. Habit. Fear of what others think.
Yeah, acting based on all those external pressures, rather than checking in with our own fundamental needs.
Okay, so those are the traps. What about the tools? How does the book suggest we start breaking these patterns? It seems to start with observation.
Yes. Observing without judging or interpreting, and the author says this is like one of the highest levels of human intelligence and one of the hardest.
Harder than it sounds, I bet.
Yeah.
Distinguishing what actually happened from my story about what happened.
Totally. We automatically filter and distort facts based on our own stuff, our past, our fears, our hopes.
The book uses the analogy of a camera, right?
Right.
Just state the facts. What was said, body language, tone.
Exactly. Like, say a friend gets up during dinner and leaves the room without a word.
My immediate thought might be, oh, he's mad at me, or that was rude.
Those are interpretations,
Huh.
judgments. The observation is simply, he hasn't spoken to me since the start of the meal and he just left the room without saying anything, sticking to the facts.
And this leads to a specific process, OFNR.
Yeah. Observation, O, what did I actually see or hear? Which leads to identifying your feeling, F, how did I feel when that happened? Which then points to the underlying need, N, what core need of mine was met or unmet. And then you can formulate a clear request, R.
So, using the friend example.
It might sound something like, when I saw you leave the room during the meal without speaking, O, I started to feel concerned, F, because I have a need for connection and maybe understanding between us. N, would you be willing to tell me if something's on your mind?
Okay, I see how that lands differently than, why were you so rude?
Completely different. It opens a door for dialogue because it starts neutral, without blame. It invites the other person to share their reality.
Whereas judgments.
Judgments just put people in boxes. The person judging and the person being judged, they create distance. They cut us off from reality, from others, even from ourselves. They're static. They freeze things.
It reminds me of that story the book mentions, the Chinese peasant.
Oh, the farmer story, yeah. Good fortune, bad fortune.
Right. The horse runs away, then comes back with more horses. The son breaks his leg falling off one. Then war breaks out, but the son can't be drafted.
Yeah.
And through it all, the peasant just says,
Good luck, bad luck, who knows? He refuses to slap a final judgment on events because you just can't see the whole picture yet.
it really shows how tricky judging is and how often we jump the gun.
And it connects to why things like observe and report are drilled into police or military. You have to agree on the facts first. Applying that in our lives helps give our feelings and needs their proper weight, instead of just reacting to distorted ideas.
Okay. Another big distinction the book makes is between needs and wishes or requests. Can you unpack that?
Yeah, this is really key. A need is fundamental, it's universal, part of being human. Think security, belonging, respect, meaning, autonomy.
Things everyone needs on some level.
Exactly. A request, on the other hand, is a specific, concrete action or strategy we ask for to try and meet a need in a particular moment. And a wish is maybe even more fleeting, just a momentary impulse or desire.
And we get into trouble when we mix them up, like mistaking a specific wish for a fundamental need.
Definitely. The book gives that great example of Andrea and Terry. They're arguing, one wants to go out to dinner, the other wants to watch a movie at home.
Right, a classic couple's disagreement.
And they're stuck, battling over the strategies. Restaurant versus movie, they haven't actually talked about the underlying needs each of them is trying to meet.
Which might be things like relaxation,
Yeah.
intimacy, a change of scenery, maybe even fun.
Could be any of those. And once they identified those shared or individual needs, they could brainstorm totally different strategies. Maybe a picnic in the park would meet both their needs better than either original idea.
Ah, so focusing on the need breaks the deadlock. It opens up creativity.
Exactly. It gets you out of the trap of just fighting over competing requests. The book warns against those quick and dirty requests we make without checking in on the deeper need. They often lead to less satisfaction and more arguments down the road.
And when needs aren't recognized or voiced clearly, requests can become demands.
Yes, like yelling, "Go clean up your room immediately." That's a demand born of frustration, likely an unmet need for order or cooperation in the parent.
And demands tend to get
I see.
resistance.
Usually just two responses: submission, often resentful, or outright rebellion. Neither builds connection or willing cooperation. A true request, the book stresses, is negotiable. You have to be genuinely open to the possibility that the other person might say no.
That's hard. Accepting a no to something you want.
It's really hard, but it's essential for authentic connection. If the other person feels they can't say no, it's not a real relationship. It's based on obligation or fear.
The book also points out that sometimes just having the need heard and acknowledged is incredibly powerful, even if the other person can't meet the specific request.
Absolutely. Often people just need to feel seen and understood in their need. That recognition itself can be deeply calming and connecting, even before you figure out solutions.
Okay, so communication is about expressing your own OFNR, but also about listening.
It's totally a two-way street. Expressing clearly and receiving the other's message. Listening is huge. Listening to yourself first, then listening deeply to the other person.
And checking that you understood. Like paraphrasing back,
Yeah, so are you saying you felt hurt because you needed more consideration? Checking is crucial to avoid misunderstandings.
the book argues a lot of normal communication is actually quite manipulative, using feelings like guilt or shame.
Oh, definitely. Think of the classic example. A parent criticizing a child's school results by comparing them unfavorably to a sibling. Why can't you be more like your sister?
Ouch. That just makes the kid defensive, right?
Yeah,
Or they shut down or pretend they don't care.
exactly, because they feel attacked, judged, not understood. Their need for acceptance or encouragement is completely missed.
There's a point made about the younger generation maybe pushing back against this more now, seeking meaning.
Yes, the source sees this as a positive challenge. Young people are less willing to just blindly follow orders or accept authority without question. They're asking why. They want meaning.
Which forces adults to look at their own motivations.
Right. It's an opportunity, the book suggests, for adults to move beyond just enforcing rules and start connecting actions back to the underlying values those rules are supposed to serve.
Fear seems to be a recurring theme, a major barrier.
Huge. Fear underlies so much of our interaction. Fear of what others think, fear of silence, fear of upsetting people, fear of not pleasing people, fear of being alone, even fear of being in a relationship.
It's exhausting just listing them.
It really is. And the book argues this background fear just eats up energy we could be using to act, create, connect authentically.
So how do we release that fear?
It comes back to finding inner security, self-confidence. The book suggests nonviolent communication, NVC practices can help build that inner foundation. So you can, dare to take your place, speak your truth, and listen openly to others without immediately feeling responsible for fixing their feelings or getting defensive.
And empathetic listening is key to that listening part.
Absolutely. Not jumping in with advice or interpretations or your own story, but really trying to tune in to the other person's feelings and needs and gently reflecting back what you're guessing.
Like saying, you sound really frustrated right now. Or, are you feeling hurt because you have a need for more respect?
Exactly. It's like the book says throwing a lifeline. You're accompanying them as they explore their inner world. And again, crucially, empathizing doesn't mean you agree with them or that you're going to do whatever they ask. It just means you're present and trying to understand their reality.
There's a striking line. What hurts does not necessarily harm, and often helps. What's that getting at?
It's suggesting that to heal emotional pain, a wound, you actually have to look at it. Gently, yes, but directly. Get inside it a bit.
Whereas our usual instinct is to avoid pain, distract ourselves.
Right. Run away through constant activity, entertainment, whatever. But the book argues that paradoxically keeps you stuck in the pain, preventing real healing.
This seems connected to the idea of conditional love, I love you if, or I love you as long as.
Very connected, and also to what the book calls accountancy in relationships.
Like keeping score, bean counting.
Yeah. We learn to do things to earn love or approval rather than simply to be. We feel guilty or responsible for other people's feelings, and we hold them responsible for ours. It becomes this constant, exhausting transaction, emotional bean counting, not genuine connection.
The Dead Poets Society example the book uses is chilling.
Isn't it? The father had this rigid plan. His son must be an engineer. He was so attached to his virtual idea of his son.
That he completely missed the son's actual passion and talent for acting, his real self.
Exactly. Demands replaced listening. There was no room for the son's reality, his needs. And the result was tragic. No connection possible when it's all about fulfilling someone else's plan.
And difference itself often feels threatening, doesn't it? We want people to be like us or meet our expectations.
We do. We fear we won't be loved if we're different, if we don't measure up. So we gravitate towards sameness, conformity.
Which breeds mistrust.
Yeah, and it can turn relationships into something almost commercial, where you feel you have to buy approval or sell pieces of yourself instead of just having real human connection.
Which makes saying no or disagreeing really difficult.
Incredibly difficult. That fear of conflict, of losing love or acceptance, is powerful.
The book argues that our emphasis on obedience has often created, well, automatons, people who follow rules without thinking.
Rather than truly responsible individuals, responsible adherence, the author suggests, comes from understanding the meaning or value behind a rule or request and then choosing freely how to act, not just complying out of fear or habit.
Okay, one last practical area, anger. How does the book suggest we handle our own anger, not just blowing up or stuffing it down?
Right, neither of those works long term. The crucial first step is to pause. The book literally says, keep mouths closed.
Just stop talking.
Or moment, yes, but not to repress the anger. It's to create space to actually listen to the anger itself. What is it telling you?
That sounds intense. The book mentions confronting maybe violent images that come up.
It acknowledges that, yes, anger can bring intense feelings and images. Processing them internally, acknowledging them without necessarily acting on them, is part of understanding the anger's message.
And only then, after regaining some calm, can you connect with the feelings and unmet needs underneath.
That's the idea. What need was frustrated that triggered this intense energy? And listening to someone else's anger is just as hard, isn't it?
Oh yeah, my first instinct is usually defensiveness or wanting to run away.
Totally normal reaction. We tend to assume their anger is about us, a personal attack. It takes real inner security and patience to listen empathically, to try and hear the unmet need behind their outburst, recognizing it's likely about their frustration, not primarily about you.
So pulling all these threads together, awareness, observation, needs, requests, handling fear and anger, how do we integrate this into like a more genuine way of living day to day?
Well, the book challenges some pretty fundamental assumptions, like the idea that violence is just natural, inevitable.
It argues it's not.
Increasingly, the author sees violence less as innate human nature and more as the tragic expression of frustration. The frustration of our true nature, of fundamental needs being ignored or unmet.
So what we call wickedness or bad behavior might often stem from deep, unacknowledged pain, bitterness, fear, frustration.
That's the perspective. And it suggests that if we can create spaces where people can actually share those frustrations, express that pain compassionately, a lot of aggression can dissolve.
So violence is more like a bad habit, a learned response.
An old, deeply programmed habit for dealing with conflict. But habits can be changed, deprogrammed. That's why he advocates so strongly for teaching these communication skills universally, like reading or math, starting in schools, because lasting change starts from within individuals.
I love the wells analogy the book uses.
It's beautiful, isn't it? People are like wells. On the surface, we all look different, different structures, different surroundings.
But if you go deep enough.
If you go deep inside yourself, you eventually hit the same groundwater, the same shared water table.
Which represents
our universal human needs. Identity, security, community, meaning, freedom, respect, love. All those core things we all share beneath the surface differences. Connecting at that level, that's the heart of this whole approach.
And practically, the book talks about the need for talking places,
Yeah, the urgency of it. So many communities, families, schools, workplaces suffer from silence, from unspoken issues festering.
creating resentment and misunderstanding.
Exactly. Setting up safe, intentional spaces where people can talk, clarify things, address grievances openly. It stops those things from poisoning the atmosphere, from making the whole house stink, as he puts it.
It seems we often prioritize stuff, logistics, tasks, over relationships.
We absolutely do. The book gives examples. The couple totally focused on renovating the house or buying new cars while missing their kids' emotional needs, or the institution quick to replace broken windows but unwilling to really listen to the young people's frustrations that led to the vandalism in the first place.
We claim we don't have time for the relationship stuff.
But we make time for the oil change or the dentist appointment. It's about priorities.
Meaningfulness and freedom also come up as important outcomes.
We have a deep need for meaning, for direction, significance in our lives. And structure, the book argues, isn't always bad. Like riverbanks. Structure can enable flow. It's not just constraint.
And freedom isn't just chaos.
No. True freedom is doing what you've genuinely chosen to do, aligned with your values and needs, not just impulsive action. The soccer analogy fits well. The rules don't destroy the game. They actually make the game possible.
The story about Tim, the homeless youth, that was a powerful example of missing the deeper need.
So stark. His father was stuck on the surface judgment. He just needs to straighten up. He completely missed Tim's desperate, unmet needs.
Needs for what? Love, identity, security.
All of those. The drug use, the begging, those were just tragic, ineffective strategies to try and cope with that deep lack. The father offering money was also just a strategy, and it missed the core need Tim had for genuine connection and trust from his dad.
Gratitude is mentioned as well,
Right.
a vital practice.
Definitely. It's framed as inner ecology. Consciously focusing on what is working, what you do appreciate, builds resilience. It helps balance out the focus on problems.
You don't get lost in just the irritations.
Exactly. It keeps the bigger picture, the relational abundance in view, like taking a vitamin pill for your connections.
And finally, this concept of convivial consciousness. What is that?
It's described as this really acute awareness of your own needs and the needs of others around you, something often sharpened by being really present, sometimes in simple but demanding situations, like the desert experience.
And it involves holding opposites together.
Yeah, learning to see things we often think of as contradictory, like dignity and humility, or autonomy and community, freedom and responsibility, as actually complementary, essential parts of a whole. Developing this consciousness is presented as a key priority for building healthier communities and reducing violence.
And the final takeaway seems to be, start with yourself.
Pretty much. If you want peace in the world, start by cultivating peace within yourself. It's contagious in the best way.
So let's circle back to the listener. Why does digging into these ideas from being genuine actually matter in, your life?
Well, because understanding these dynamics, how our judgments block connection, how feelings point to needs, the critical difference between a demand and a genuine request, the sheer power of listening with empathy. This stuff can literally change your relationship.
At home? At work?
Everywhere. It offers a pathway out of those repetitive, frustrating arguments, out of resentment, out of that feeling of just not being heard or being ineffective.
Sounds like it gives you tools. Tools to say what you need to say authentically.
Without resorting to blaming or attacking, and without sacrificing connection, and equally important, tools to listen differently, to really hear others, even when what they're saying is difficult or triggers you.
So ultimately, reading these excerpts, this deep dive, it suggests it's about making a choice.
A conscious choice, yeah. To show up more fully in your life and relationships, to move beyond just going through the motions out of duty or fear or habit.
And instead, aiming for real, genuine connection.
Connection built on understanding that common ground, those shared human needs we all have.
We've covered a lot today, exploring this shift from just being nice to truly being genuine, based on Thomas Dansemberg's work.
It's definitely a journey. An inward one, getting to know our feelings and needs, maybe for the first time. And an outward one, finding the courage to express that truth and listen with openness.
It really challenges some ingrained habits, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Judgment, blame, trying to find security by controlling things or just fitting in.
Big time. But it also offers this incredible reminder. Underneath all our differences, that water table connects us. We share the same fundamental human needs.
Which leaves us with maybe a final thought for you to consider. What if embracing the discomfort, the vulnerability of being truly real, of being genuine, isn't just a nice idea?
What if it's actually the most direct path there is to the authentic connections and the vibrant, fully lived life that you're actually searching for?